What if I told you the number you need to start really seeing your investments work for you is way, way lower than you think? Seriously. Most people here live off your investments and they immediately picture millions of dollars. Some huge out of reach number that feels more like winning the lottery than a realistic goal. But honestly, that's a myth. And it's a myth that keeps way too many people on the sidelines, thinking this game isn't for them. The truth is, there's a much smaller, more achievable amount that acts as the seed for your own money-making machine. It's the point where your money starts taking on a life of its own. In this video, we're going to reveal that number. And more importantly, I'm going to show you step by step how it can be the launch pad for your financial future. My name is Mike, and I spend way too much time thinking about why people feel stuck financially, even when they're doing the right things. If you're someone who wants investing to actually matter, feels like your contributions aren't moving the needle, or thinks living off investments sounds like a fantasy, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if this video helps something finally click, give it a thumbs up. It really does help the channel. All right. Let's talk about the lowest amount where compounding actually becomes real. Let's be real. Have you ever opened one of those online retirement calculators, typed in your info, and had it spit out a number so massive it felt like a typo? Like 2, 3, maybe even $5 million. For most people, that moment is the end of the dream. It is just so discouraging. You do the quick math in your head. You think about your salary, your rent, your bills, and that goal just seems impossibly far away. The immediate reaction is, why even bother? It creates this financial paralysis. You feel like you're at the bottom of a giant mountain without a map, so you never even take that first step. You know what this feels like? It's that classic snowball analogy. We're all told investing is like rolling a snowball down a hill. But nobody ever talks about how annoying those first few feet are. You start with this pathetic little handful of snow. You roll it, and it barely picks anything up. It's clunky. It's slow. And you're putting in all this effort for a snowball that's still tiny. That's what the first few years of investing feel like. Your contributions seem to disappear, and the growth is practically invisible. And it's during this slow, grinding phase that most people quit, convinced it's not working. They were promised an avalanche, but all they're seeing is a slush pile. This is the frustration we need to get past. The force that turns that slush pile into an avalanche is one of the most powerful concepts in finance: compound interest. It's been called the eighth wonder of the world, and for good reason. It's the simple process of your interest earning its own interest, and it's how your money starts making money for you. Think about it like this. It isn't magic. It's just math. Imagine every dollar you invest is a tiny worker. The first year, that worker goes out and earns a few cents. But here's where it gets cool. You don't just have your original worker anymore. The interest it earned, that's a brand new worker standing right next to the first one. The next year, both of them go out and earn interest. And the money they bring back creates even more workers. It starts with a small team. Then it becomes a small company. Then a small army. And eventually, you have a massive self-sustaining workforce generating income around the clock without you having to do a thing. The engine behind this is a simple formula, but you don't need to be a math whiz to get it. The only two ingredients that really matter are time and your rate of return. The more time you give your army of workers to grow, and the better they are at their jobs, a higher rate of return. The faster your wealth explodes. This growth isn't a straight line. It's a curve that gets steeper and steeper. It's exponential. That's the aha moment. You're not just saving money, you are building a machine. So this brings us back to the big question. What's the amount you need for this machine to finally start making a real noticeable difference? What's that first domino that sets the whole thing in motion? The answer isn't $1 million. It's not even $500,000. The number, the first major milestone where the power of compounding really starts to show itself, is $100,000. Now, hold on. I can already hear some of you thinking, $100,000, that's still a lot of money. And you're not wrong. But we have to reframe what this number really means. This is not the amount you need to quit your job and live on a beach. This is the amount where compounding goes from a background, whisper to a real, noticeable force in your financial life. It's the tipping point. It's the moment your financial snowball is finally big enough to start picking up serious snow all on its own, whether you're pushing it or not. Here's why it's so important. Let's apply a famous financial guideline called the 4% safe withdrawal rule. This rule suggests you can likely withdraw 4% of your portfolio's value each year without it running out. With a $100,000 portfolio, 4% is $4,000 a year. That breaks down to about $333 to $33 a month. Now, is $333 a month enough to live on? For most people, of course not, but think about what it represents. Your money machine is now capable of generating a real, tangible return. That's enough to cover your entire grocery bill for the month, or knock out your car payment, or pay for all your utilities. This is the moment your investments stop being just a number on a screen and start becoming a tangible force in your life. It's the first taste of freedom, where your assets are actively generating a usable income stream. That's why $100,000 is such a powerful first goal. It's the launch pad. So we have our target, our launch pad, $100,000. Let's break down how to get there and what happens when you do. First, let's imagine you hit that goal. You have $100,000 invested. Now, you decide not to add another dime. You just let it sit and do its thing. Assuming a conservative 6% average annual return, which is below the historical stock market average, the numbers are pretty staggering. In 10 years, without you doing any extra work, your $100,000 could grow to nearly $180,000. In 20 years, it could be worth over $320,000. And in 30 years, that initial $100,000 could become more than $574,000. That's without you contributing anything else. This is the point where your money is doing the heavy lifting for you. Your army of workers has built a dynasty. But that leads to the biggest question of all. How on earth do you get that first $100,000? This is more achievable than you might think. Let's use a couple of real-world examples. Meet Sarah. Sarah is 25 and starts investing. She sets up an automatic transfer of $300 every single month into a simple investment account. Assuming a 5% average annual return, Sarah will cross the $100,000 mark in about 17 years. The amazing part, she'll have only put in about $61,000 of her own money. The other $39,000 is pure growth from her money machine. Or how about Jess? Jess gets a later start at 35, but she's able to invest a bit more. $500 a month. With that same 5% return, Jess will hit her $100,000 goal in just around 12 years. But what if you can only start with $100 a month? Even then, the principle works. It'll take longer, around 28 years, but you will still get there. And here's the most beautiful part of that journey. Over those 28 years, you'll have only contributed about $33,600 yourself. A whopping $66,400 of your portfolio will have been generated by compound interest. Your money will have made almost double what you put in. If you're finding this breakdown helpful, and you want to see exactly how to set up these kinds of automated investments, I have a video that walks through the best platforms for beginners, which I'll link down in the description. And if you're serious about building a financial future, take a second to subscribe so you don't miss our future videos. Now, we have to be realistic. These calculations are based on smooth, average returns. The real world is messier. The stock market zigs and zags. There will be amazing years where you get 20% returns, and there will be down years where your portfolio loses value. We also have to think about inflation. If your portfolio is earning 5%, but inflation is at 3%, your real return is only 2%, which means your buying power isn't growing as fast. You also have to consider taxes on your investment gains, which depend on the type of account you're using. But here's the key. Don't get lost in the weeds and fall back into that state of paralysis. These things don't break the system. They just prove how important the two things you can control are: your consistency and your time in the market. The exact numbers will change, but the fundamental truth that consistent investing over long periods builds wealth is undefeated. So, what's the lowest amount you need to see compounding change your life? And the first major milestone is $100,000. Not because it's enough to retire, but because it's the point of critical mass. It's where the numbers become real. It's the proof that the machine you've been building actually works. It's the moment your financial snowball is finally big enough to start its own avalanche. The journey to financial independence doesn't start when you have $1 million. It doesn't even start when you hit $100,000. It starts with your very first dollar. The path to one-day living off your investments isn't a privilege just for the wealthy. It's a destination earned by being consistent. It begins not with a huge sum, but with a simple decision to start building $1, one worker at a time. The dream is not a fantasy. It's a blueprint, and it starts today. If this video changed how you think about investing, do me a favor and hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. And make sure you're subscribed for more videos that make building wealth simple and achievable. Now, I want to hear from you. What's the first step you're going to take after watching this? Let me know down in the comments.